This pile of air dry clay supplies has been sitting over there in my office taunting me for like 6 months. I have been wanting to learn everything about air dry clay and play with it for so long, and guess what? Today's the day. I'm gonna attempt to make some cutesy little magnets for my fridge that look kind of like these with little to no knowledge of how air dry clay actually works. I've literally never tried it. Because I firmly believe that everything crafty is actually more easily figured out by doing it than by trying to study it and learn everything first. So come along with me as I give this a go, and I'll take you along for the ups and downs, hopefully mostly ups, and kind of walk you through anything that I learn and any mistakes that I make so that hopefully you could skip this step when you go to try it yourself. Okay, so like I said, I have never actually worked with air dry clay, but I have seen a ton of social media videos about it. So going into this, I do have a handful of tips that I know I need to use and follow. So let's go over those first. Okay, so first, the air dry clay that everybody loves is this one, Das clay. This is the clay that everyone claims is the best one. So this is what I got my hands on. It's definitely not the cheapest one, but that's okay. Second, I've learned that I'm gonna wanna use a rolling pin. So I actually thrifted this one not that long ago for this exact purpose. Third, I've learned it's best to work on parchment paper or some kind of surface that is going to be not super sticky. So I'm gonna roll out a big piece of parchment paper and have that ready for myself. I think I might end up even taping it down just so it's not annoying me. Fourth, since this is literally air dry clay and it dries when it touches the air, I've learned that it's best to keep the parts you're not using sealed at all times when you're not using them. And this doesn't really reseal this package, so I've grabbed some saran wrap. And fifth, lastly, I've gathered that having water nearby is really handy to rehydrate the clay if it does start to dry out, and also to stick pieces together, I guess. So I have a little spray bottle of water. I also have this little kit of clay tools that I got on Amazon. Who knows if they're gonna be helpful or not, but I've seen people using them. I thought it might be helpful. So with all those tips in mind, I think I'm gonna just jump right in. I think I'm gonna do only 3 magnets, simply to see how it goes, and then I'll be able to iron out any of the mistakes I make and make some more that are more perfected afterwards. So I'm gonna start with 3 as kind of my test. I wanna make an egg because I think that this would be like level 1 easy. I wanna make some olives because if an egg is level 1, olives are probably like level 2, level 3 easy. And I want to attempt to make an ice cream cone because my kids love ice cream and I'm going to put it on the fridge. And I think that an ice cream cone is like a little more challenging. So I'll make that one third. And then if I can manage those, I think I'll be able to just like make a whole bunch more afterwards. Okay, so let's open up the clay. So one tip that I saw someone on social media do is to use a ruler to kind of like slice the hunk. There we go. Oh, it is wetter than I thought. It's like pretty goopy. I need to roll up my sleeves. It's really goopy. And you know what? I'm gonna take off all my rings too. Lesson number 1, it's goopy. Now I'm going to kind of like massage it. I know that that's what we're supposed to do before we roll it out. I think that's probably good. Now I'm gonna put it down on the table and grab my trusty thrifted rolling pin and roll her out. Everything I read said you don't want it to be too thick because it won't dry evenly, like through the middle. And the details I'm gonna make for these little magnets are pretty small. So I'm gonna try and make it nice and even and thin-ish before I start carving it up. Okay, I've got it rolled out. I think it's like pretty even and thin. So I think this will be good. I mean, I see people use a knife. I honestly don't think I really need to because I'm doing such small little, you know what, I'll just use it just to experiment with how that feels. That felt nice. So yeah, I'm just gonna take this and start sculpting it. But I know that if I leave this out, this is what I want to use for all my magnets, and I know that if I leave it out, it's going to get hard and dry. So I'm going to open up my saran wrap which is proving harder than I thought. Nice and moist. Okay, you can see the moisture that comes out of it on the parchment paper. Okay, so also, yeah, I think I'm gonna maybe use the knife and like carve out the shape of the egg a little bit because I want it to be like uneven, but I do want that bottom part to all stay kind of this thickness. Okay, so maybe that's the edge of my egg. And I know that like you want to kind of smooth out the edges. I also know that people use sandpaper when they're doing like really proper projects, but as we know, this is not really a proper project, so I'm just gonna kind of leave it there. Okay, then I'm gonna take another little piece and I think I'll just probably roll it up. That's probably even too big. This is fun. Look at my hands too, they're heckin' dusty. Didn't realize that was a thing. And I'm gonna put it on here. And what I've learned is that you wanna kind of, maybe I have a tool for this. This is literally just from watching other people do it. You wanna kind of like put in some little scrapes so that there's grip on it. And I'm gonna add a tiny little bit of water to the part I want to stick, but the yolk feels too big to me. Okay, I gotta make it a little smaller. Okay, so there, I think, honestly, I think that's it for the egg. I think once I paint that, it's gonna look perfect. In retrospect, I think this was way too much clay for what I needed, if that's all I needed for the egg. So I'm gonna just use this piece. I'm gonna rehydrate it a bit. I'm gonna use this piece for my olives. I think I'm gonna do 3 olives, and I think I'm gonna make them kind of look like they're on a toothpick, but like not actually have the toothpick, or maybe I will have the toothpick. I don't know, we'll see in a minute, I guess. Okay, so first I'm gonna make 3 olive shapes. I mean, that is kind of a perfect olive. These are gonna be kind of life size, I guess. Wasn't really envisioning it that way. I was envisioning them smaller, but like I said, I'm not a very delicate person, so I think if I tried to make them any smaller, it wouldn't really work. Okay, and now I'm gonna take one of these handy dandy things. I don't really know what they're called, but they have like a little circle tip on the bottom, on the edge of it. I don't know if you can see that in the video, but I'm gonna use it to make the hole in the olive so that I can put in my little pimento. I always think of my daughter when I say that word because she loves to say that word. She goes, pimento. You know, there's just some things that when your kids say them, you're like, I'm never gonna say that word any differently ever again. Okay, there's one olive. I'm actually just really not overthinking the shape of these because olives are not usually perfectly round, especially the kind that you get that you've had in a can. The like gross grocery store ones that for some reason are my husband's favorite. They're often like really squished. Anyway, back to making clay. Now I want olives. Fun fact, I never liked olives until my husband and I went traveling. We were in Argentina and Chile, and we were backpacking through like kind of the mountains, and there was there were no restaurants. We had to like pack food and camp. And so we basically just packed charcuterie for like 12 days straight and ate a lot of olives simply because I was starving. And now I love them. Okay, that's cute. I think I'm gonna try and like connect them all together. But before I do, I wanna make my little pimentos. So I'm just gonna take little tiny pieces. And I might need to add like tiny bits of water to them so that they stick really nicely. There, that's gonna look really cute. There we go. I think just that little bit of texture when I paint it will look really cool. Okay, there we go. Got my 3 olives made now. Again, I think I need to like put some little scratches on them and add a tiny bit of water. I have some on my parchment right here, so that I can connect them all together. We're just gonna hope for the best. We're gonna just put these together. I'm also realizing that if I put them too like angled on each other, they're not gonna sit properly as a magnet. This one might be a disaster, but I guess we'll find out when I'm done. I literally just realized that I didn't have my microphone on for that whole last segment. So apologies if my audio was really bad. Hopefully it's better now. So I'm gonna kind of re-wet this clay, and then I wanna just get into making my last one, which is gonna be an ice cream cone. And I think I wanna try and make it like roughly match the size of the egg, like not super big and bulky like the olives were. I want it to be a little bit smaller. So I'm just kind of flattening this. I'm gonna do the cone first, and because it's gonna be on a magnet, it's not gonna be a round cone. I'm gonna make it flat-ish, and then I'll cut out a rough cone shape. It's trickier than it looks. And you know what? I actually think I'm gonna kind of like put some shape for the top, not just the cone, because then I'll layer what I want the ice cream to look like on top, and it'll be kind of like bulkier in that spot. By the way, if anyone's watching and you're like, I know a lot more than you, Becca, about air dry clay, hey, hit me in the comments with your suggestions, because I'm not pretending to know what I'm doing. Okay, so there's my like approximate cone shape. Now I want to make the actual ice cream kind of topper looking thing. Maybe I need to use one of these tools to kind of like draw it out first. This is harder than it looks. Somebody help me. You know what? That's gonna look cute. I'm gonna just keep shaping it for a second here. It needs to be a little less pointy in some spots, but I think that's ultimately this is ultimately the right shape-ish. This is definitely harder than it looks. Maybe I also had too much clay in this little clump for what I'm trying to shape. Like maybe it's better to cut some out of there, but I'm actually kind of happy with that shape. And then I want to add a little bit of detailing to the cone. So I'm going to use this looks like a spear, you know, in like an ancient fighting movie. But I'm going to use it to make some little cone marks. And then I think once I add paint to this, it's gonna look really cute. That is gonna have to do for my ice cream cone. All right, so I have my ice cream cone, I have my egg, I have my little olives, and then I'm gonna let these ones dry for apparently 24 hours. I might let it dry for even longer than that before I paint it. And you won't even know, because it's gonna cut in like 2 seconds to me in a few days from now, ready to paint. Okay, it's officially the next day. Welcome back. Yes, I am wearing the same sweater, even though it's technically a different day for me, because we gotta do these things, you know, when we're video creators. We'll just pretend this all happened in one take. No, I'm just kidding. This took 24 hours to dry, but it does look pretty dry. I mean, you can hear it. It's dry. What? Imagine I did that and it just cracked in half. No, these are dry. And look how cute the hot dog is. I'm so glad I made this last minute. So anyway, now is the step where I paint them. So I have a couple little brushes, I have a jar of water, I have a palette, and then I grabbed all the different paints. All right, I think I'm gonna start with the easiest one in the same order that I made it. So the egg, obviously, we really only need kind of 2 colors for this. So I've got some yellow, there's not much in there. I also have this yellow, maybe I'll mix them together. And then I need, this is a titanium white, it's like kind of an off-white. So that might work. And maybe I'll mix it with some like regular white. I don't know. Feels like that's getting a little fancy with 4 colors, and really it's just an egg. It's white and yellow, but we'll see. I'm gonna also try not to like super overthink this because it's not that deep. It's just gonna be a little egg magnet on my fridge. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't need to be perfect. So acrylic paint, I didn't really mention it, but this is Amsterdam acrylic paint. It's just like an average acrylic paint that I got at the local craft store here. I'm not really worried about, you know, what kind of acrylic paint it is. Again, it's not that deep. Who knows, maybe an expensive acrylic paint would work better, but I'm not that worried about it. And I think I'll probably end up doing like a couple layers, just trying to get this looking as realistic as possible. I feel like it's fine if we can see some brush strokes, but I don't want it to be like overpowering and distracting. So stop touching it, Becca. Stop touching it. Okay, so there's the white. Now I'm going to mix up some of that yellow. If you know anything about me, you know I'm not a perfectionist and I'm not meticulous. So if I can do this, you can too. But this is definitely why I made these a little bigger. I know some people make like the tiniest little magnets, and I'm just not detailed enough for that. This is really fun. I'm really happy I started experimenting with this. Look how cute that is already. Oh, I love it. Oh my God, I'm so excited to put that on my fridge. Now I'm going to rinse these brushes and I'm gonna start doing the olives. And maybe I won't talk you through every step of all of these just because then we'll end up being here forever, but I'll just kind of speed this up and let you watch the process. This color is literally called olive green, so I feel like I'm gonna run with that, although it looks a little bit, feels like it might need a little bit more warmth in it. We'll see. Alrighty, let's get into painting these olives. I'm not avoiding, I mean, I'm kind of avoiding the center, but if it overlaps with the pimento a little bit, I'm not too worried about it because acrylic paint can layer. So I can get the red to overlap with that green after. Okay, it's proving hard to complete this olive without touching part of it because this one is like painted all the way around, whereas the egg I could hold onto the bottom. So I'm gonna do my best and then I'm gonna just put it down and hope that I can touch it up later. So maybe I'm just gonna leave it right there in the middle of my palette. Now I'm gonna move on to my ice cream cone. So I need some browns, and I think obviously the top of my ice cream needs to be pink because I have little girls who are obsessed with pink ice cream. My girls are going to love this. I can almost guarantee that the little one will try to put it in her mouth. So we will have to keep it high up on the fridge. There is the first coat on my ice cream cone. I'll probably come back and add a little more detail on the top part, but we'll see. Okay, I'm watching these olives dry now, and I really don't like that color for the olives. It looks too foresty. It needs to be warmer. So I'm gonna add a little yellow to this paint that's already sitting here, and I'm gonna try doing a second coat. That looks better. Not perfect, but better. And last but not least, let's get this hot dog done. Okay, these are a little more dry now. They're not fully dry, but they're dry enough that I can add like my next layer and my next level of detail. So I wanna add the mustard on top of the hot dog. I wanna add the little red pimentos in here, and maybe just like a little kind of like line of detail on the ice cream. Okay, while these dry, the back is fine. The back is dry. So I'm going to, because I have no patience, I'm gonna add on my little magnets. So I got these tiny little magnets just on Amazon. I'll link to everything I used, by the way, down below. And I'm going to use my hot glue to add some magnets on the back of these. And then even though the magnets are on, I'll still be able to come back and do the touch-up. Side note, I would recommend letting everything dry before you do anything like this, but I, again, have no patience. So I'm gonna start with the egg. I have my hot glue. Okay, I'm just putting some little tiny spots of hot glue on and adding my magnets. This is proving harder than I thought because I'm almost out of hot glue and I forgot to get any more glue sticks. So now I'm using a little dowel to push the remaining glue on, and hopefully I have enough to get me through all of these. Okay, so these are all magneted. Is that a verb? I don't know. And ready to go on the fridge. The last thing I need to do is just touch up the mustard on there now that it's dried a little bit. And then we're good to go with putting them on the fridge. Look how cute they are. Oh my gosh, I am thrilled. I'm so glad that I finally did this. All right, I hope that was as fun for you guys to watch as it was for me to create. I want to kind of run through a couple little findings that I now know to do better for next time. The first thing is I would definitely like to learn a little bit more about how to work with texture. I think it could be really cool to like add some texture on the top of that ice cream. I also think that this cone should have been like rounded and 3D a little bit. It looks a little weird that this part's flat and that part's bumpy. And so thinking through like what makes sense for sculpting. I just don't know anything about sculpting, so I think it's gonna be really cool to learn that in the future. And I also think that I should find out what brushes are the best for painting stuff like this, because mine were a little bit jagged and didn't work super well. That being said, you use what you have. It worked perfectly fine. The last thing I would like to also learn about is using a resin on top and like curing a resin on it so that it would look shiny, which I know you can do. So I'm going to look into that and maybe we will talk about it in a future video. But all in all, I hope you guys had fun watching this. I hope it taught you a little bit about what to do and what not to do. Next up, I will link you to another video that I think you're gonna like, but I would also love it if you left me a comment on this one and let me know what you thought as we work through this, or if you have any tips for me on air dry clay, because I'm on a learning journey now. I'm obsessed. All right, I'll see you next time.